day, my schoolers. You're welcome to my school channel, and my name is Abiola. Remember, in this channel, you will be joining me to solve the JAMB CBT past question for the subject Physics, the year 2011. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school YouTube channel, and in this video segment you are joining me to solve questions 17 to 32. So let's start with question 17. The ground is always cold at night because the earth radiates heat to the atmosphere at night. Okay, during the day when it is sunny, okay, the earth is a better absorber of heat compared to the sea body. Okay, so the air close to the ground becomes warmer, it rises up. So at night, there is no radiation from the sun. I'm talking about heat energy. So the earth now is emitting more heat than it's receiving. So definitely it's going to be cooler. And when you understand the convection current, the movement, you will also see that this concept is somehow wrapped up in option B. So option B is the best option. Earth radiates heat to the atmosphere at night. 18. A cannon is fired from town X. After how long is the sound heard at a town Y, which is 4.95 kilometers away? Okay, you should be very careful when attempting this question. Okay, so we are told that it was fired from town X, then after a certain amount of time, it was heard, the sound was heard at another town Y. Okay, so if it was heard back in town X, okay, after a certain time, it tells you there is an echo, okay, but there's no echo, it moves to another town. It was heard in another town. So it's just your normal velocity equals speed equals distance over time, or displacement over time. So just simply put it, distance over time. Okay, so we have velocity of sound in air, that is 330, okay, equals whatever thing we are going to have. So let's prefer solution to this question. Okay, so we have velocity of sound in air as 330. All right, I'm neglecting the units for now. Okay, and we are told the distance, let me just use x for distance, equals 4.95 kilometers. Okay, right here we are operating in meter per second. So we have to change this from kilometers to meters. What do? We multiply by 1,000. And that gives us 4,950. So remember that velocity equals displacement over time. But in this case, let me use distance over time, okay? All right, so we are told how long, the time. So therefore, t times v equals x. That implies t equals x over v, okay? Where t equals, our x is giving us this, 4,950 over this, 330. Okay. All right, I can have 3 here, 11, right? I can have 3 in 4, that is 1. 3 in 19, that is 6. Okay, remaining 1. 3 in 15, that is 5. I believe I can still divide further. 11 here, 1. 11 here, that is 1. Remaining 5. 11 in 55, that makes 5. So we are looking at 15 seconds. You may not need to go through this long division method. Just punch your calculator and you get your answer. So the time is 15 seconds. So let's move back to the screen to pick out 15 seconds. That can be found in option D. So option D is the correct option. 19. The phenomenon that shows that increase in pressure lowers the melting point can be observed in regelation. Okay, you can see how it's melting when there is pressure, when pressure increases, and it's refreezing back once the pressure is removed or the pressure reduces. Okay, so it's just in response to pressure, the melting, for instance, the melting of ice in response to pressure. Okay, you can see that in pressure cookers. So the correct answer is regelation, sublimation, you know, from solid to gas without passing through the liquid phase or the liquid state. Condensation, okay, from water vapor to liquid. Coagulation, you can see this in the water treatment, okay, when water is being passed through settling tank and you introduce potash alum so that the dirt there will coagulate, they will form flux and they will settle down as sediment. So the correct option here is regelation, option D. Number 20. A block of aluminium is heated electrically by a 30-watt heater. If the temperature rises by 10 degrees Celsius in 5 minutes, okay, the heat capacity of the aluminium is what? So we can use heat capacity equals quantity of heat over temperature rise, or we can have quantity of heat equals heat capacity times temperature rise. So I can have this presentation like this, okay? I can have heat capacity, let me represent it by H, okay, just for this scenario, equals this quantity of heat over temperature rise or change in temperature. Okay, so and we can see from here that the quantity of heat equals power times time if I cross multiply. So that implies power times time over change in temperature or temperature rise. So the power here is measured in watts, you should know that. So we have 30 watts multiplied by the time taken, okay, it should be measured in seconds, but we have 5 minutes. So 5 minutes to second will be 5 times 60 over the temperature rise that we have is 10 degrees Celsius. So we have over 10, okay, so 10, right? So we have 5 times 6. For 5 times 60, we have 300. 300 times 3, we have 900. So this is what we have, joules per Kelvin. Okay, so let's see if we have 900 given to us in the options provided. Yes, we can find that in option A, so option A is the correct option. 21. Steam burn is more severe than that of boiling water because steam possesses greater energy, greater internal energy compared to water, per unit mass compared to water. So the correct option here is option B. Steam possesses greater heat energy per unit mass in comparison to water. Do not forget that we have made tools available for you. All you need to do, use the link in the description below. It's going to take you to the Myschool website. Okay, there you can get the Myschool mobile app or the Myschool software. So join me as we solve question 22. We have change of state, we have diffusion, we have radiation, we have osmosis. So which of the processes above can be explained using the kinetic theory? Okay, so when you consider the kinetic theory or the assumption, or what your assumptions, what you are going to have there, you can see it states that all substances are made up of tiny particles called molecules, and these molecules, they are in constant random motion. They are elastic, their collision is elastic, and in turn they change direction, and there are attractive forces between them. So when you consider kinetic theory, you realize that it made provision to explain the change of states. Okay, like for instance, when you increase temperature, you will see that the ice will melt from solid to liquid. So you can see when you have diffusion from the region of more concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay, like for instance, when you spray the air in certain parts of the room, you will see that the wonderful smell or the scent moves from where it was sprayed to circulate around the room. Okay, that's diffusion. Then we have osmosis, water molecule through semi-permeable membrane. So these three is being explained, they are being explained by kinetic theory. But when you consider radiation, you look at the radiation of heat energy from the sun to us. It doesn't require a material medium. So I can use this presentation to give it to us that the processes above that are being explained, or that can be explained by kinetic theory, they are change of state, they are diffusion, and osmosis. So 1, 2, and 4. Where can we find that? We can find that in option D, 1, 2, and 4. I know you like to encourage us. All you need to do is to hit that like button. Also, click on the subscribe button and always tap on bell notifications so you can get alerts immediately we upload the next video content just for you. Question 23. 3 similar cells, each of EMF 2 volts and internal resistance 2 ohms, are connected in parallel. Take note of parallel connection. Now we are asked to find the total EMF and the total internal resistance respectively. So when it comes to connection in parallel or parallel arrangement, the net EMF is still the same as the single EMF. All right. So if the net of what we are looking for is going to be what? Just know that once you pick one EMF of one of the cells, you see the same value that we amount for the total EMF. So the net EMF or the total EMF will be 2. Okay, so we have 2. So that's between option B and option C. So let's secure the internal resistance. Okay, so you remember that resistance connected in parallel is 1 over the R total equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3, and that is it. So we have the resistance being connected in parallel. So that will be 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2. The LCM is 2. Okay, that makes 3 over 2. By the time you cross multiply, what you will have is 2 over 3 in turn. And when you divide that, you will have 0.67. Approximately 0.7 ohm. So the total EMF is just the same value as just a single EMF, which is 2. What we have gotten now is 0.7. Okay, so we have 2 volts and 0.7 ohm. So the correct option is option B, 2 volts and 0.7 ohms. 24. When the human eye loses its power of accommodation, the defect is known as presbyopia. Okay, so what is accommodation? The ability of the eye to focus both far and near objects clearly. Okay, and this is due to the adjustments when it comes to the shape of the lens and altering of the focal length. All of this happen because the activity of the ciliary muscle. Okay, so we've gotten that ciliary muscle basically is responsible for accommodation. So when we now look at short-sightedness, we are looking at a condition whereby the person can see close objects but cannot see far or distant objects. All right, so when it comes to astigmatism, this is a condition that is virtually to an extent present in everyone regardless of age considerably. Okay, probably due to the unevenness in the surface of the cornea. All right, so let's look at long-sightedness. You know, it's a condition whereby the person can see very distant objects but cannot see close objects. All right, and this can happen due to 2 conditions. Okay, one of the conditions is due to the short length of the eyeball, if the eyeball is too short, or when the ciliary muscle and the lens loses their elasticity due to aging, and that is the concept or the condition of presbyopia. So in this sense, the ciliary muscle, which is responsible for accommodation here, loses its elasticity. So the correct option is option B for presbyopia. 25. When a red rose flower is observed in blue light, what color does the observer see? The observer sees black, all right? Because the blue light is being absorbed by the red rose flower. So no color is being reflected back to the observer. So what the observer sees is black, okay? But if you want to have a normal color mixture, all right? Or color matrix or color whatever, okay? Or color engineering, when you mix red with blue, what you should have is magenta. But we are being specific here. We're talking about a red rose flower being observed in blue light. What you observe would be a dark coloration, black. So we don't have that here, okay? But just in case you meet this question elsewhere, blue light plus red, blue plus red gives you magenta, okay? But based on the specificity of red rose flower being specific here, there is no correct option provided. So the correct option is no correct option, option E. 26. The capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor is 20 microfarad in here and 60 microfarad in the presence of a dielectric. So what is the dielectric constant? Okay, so this is very nice. Okay, at first when you talk about a capacitor, you're talking about a device used for storing electric charges or electricity. Okay, so and dielectric material or substance, it is what is used between the metal plates. So this is the insulating material used between the metal plates. So the dielectric constant K, which you can refer to as kappa, is just the value of the capacitance in the presence of the dielectric over the capacitance in a vacuum or without dielectric. So that will be 60 over 20, okay? Microfarad cancels microfarad, that is 60 over 20, that makes 3.0. So the correct option is option C for 3.0. Question 27. A certain far-sighted person cannot see objects that are closer to the eye than 50 centimeters clearly. So if a person is far-sighted, okay, that means we are talking about long-sightedness. So that means what you use to correct such kind of defects is using a converging lens or a convex lens. And in convex lens, the images produced, they are always virtual. So determine the power of the converging lens, which will enable him to see at 25 centimeters. So this is just very simple. We are just going to employ or use the lens or the mirror equation, okay, which is 1 over u plus 1 over v equals 1 over f. Okay, so we have 1 over 25 plus minus 1 over 50. Remember, virtual image, we are having negative, equals 1 over f. So this makes 1 over 25 minus 1 over 50. Plus times minus, okay? The minus belongs here, but I just brought it up. So the LCM here is 50. This is 2 times 1, we have 2 minus 50 and 50, 1. 1 times 1, we have 1 equals 1 over f. This implies 2 minus 1, we have 1 over 50 equals 1 over f. If we cross multiply, f times 1 equals 50 times 1. So definitely the focal length here is 50. But remember that power of a lens equals 1 over f, which means 1 over 50, and that makes 0.02 diopters. Okay, so the correct option here is 0.02. So let's move back to the screen to see if we can find 0.02. That can be found in option B, so option B is the correct option. Number 28. The eclipse of the sun occurs when the moon is between the sun and the earth. So we know that the sun gives out light, okay, while the earth and the moon, they just receive light. They can't source out light by themselves, okay? So this tells us that the eclipse of the sun occurs, or solar eclipse occurs, when the moon stands between the sun and the earth. So the moon light cannot pass through the moon, okay? So that makes that the moon will cast shadow on the earth. So depending on the position, that's where you will now notice partial eclipse or full eclipse, okay? So eclipse of the sun or solar eclipse is when the moon is between the sun and the earth. Okay, while lunar eclipse or eclipse of the moon is when the earth is between the sun and the moon. The earth is casting shadow. Okay, so the correct option here is option A, when the moon is between the sun and the earth. 29. Which of the following is a property of steel? Okay, A, it cannot retain its magnetism longer than iron. B, it can be used for making temporary magnets. C, it can be used for making permanent magnets. D, it can easily be magnetized and demagnetized. Okay, one thing we should know about steel, we are talking about alloy, okay, of iron and carbon. Okay, it is more ductile and malleable compared to iron. Okay, it is stronger and it is harder. All right, it can withstand stress and strain as well, and is used in construction of bridges, cars, machinery, and what have you. So when you introduce cobalt to this whole setup, it increases it makes steel suitable for making of permanent magnets. So when you consider steel and alnico, ALNICO, these are wonderful material useful in construction of permanent magnets. So which of the following is a property of steel? It can be used for making permanent magnets. Option C is the correct option. Do not forget that you can meet with our solution providers. How do you do that? You just use the link in the description below. Once you click on it, it's going to make you get to the Myschool website. There you can ask your questions right now, and our solution providers are going to help you out. So join me as we solve question 30. In measuring high frequency AC alternating current, the instrument used is what? So when it comes to measurement of AC, we have the hot wire, okay, we have the moving iron ammeter, we have the moving coil ammeter. Okay, I'm going to stay with these three. So one thing we should note is that when current is being transmitted, when you are transmitting power, okay, and you're using high current, what you will generate is lots of heat. And that gives us a clue that hot wire ammeter works on the principle by using the heating effect of current. And this was once used, or it was being used, yes, as to measure radio frequency current. All right, so this accounts for what we can point to, that the hot wire ammeter, looking at the principle on which it works, it is suitable to measure high frequency. So in measuring high frequency AC, the instrument used is the what? It is the hot wire ammeter. This uses the magnetic effect of current. So the correct option is option D for hot wire ammeter. Perhaps you have better explanation to offer. All you need to do is to use that comment section below. You just need to indicate the question number and the explanations you'd like to share. 31. If the charge of electricity is K, which is 4 naira, all right, what is the cost of operating an electric, it's kilowatts, is in kilowatt hour rather, okay? What is the cost of operating an electrical appliance rated 250 volts, 2 ampere for 6 hours? So we are going to find this out together. So we can use power equals IV, where I is current, V is voltage. So power equals IV. So we are given the current as 2, voltage 250. That tells us that the power here is 500 watts. And remember, we are operating with kilowatts hour. Okay, so this has to change from watt to kilowatt. That will be 500 over 1000, right? Times how many hours? 6 hours. So 0 strikes out 0, 0 strikes out 0. 5 year 1, 5 year 2. 2 year 1, 2 year 3. So we have 3 kilowatts hour. So we are now told that the charges per hour is 4 naira. So that would just be 4 times 3. That makes 12. So the answer is 12. So let's go back to the screen to see if we can find 12 provided. Of course, that can be found in option B. So option B is the correct option. Question 32. Under which of the following conditions do gases conduct electricity? So we use the discharge tube to study the conduction of electricity through gases, okay? And those conditions are very simple. At first, we are looking at low pressure, okay, as low as 0.01 millimeter mercury, and high potential difference, something greater than 100 volts. So the correct option is option B for low pressure and high potential difference. We've come to the end of this video segment, but there are more wonderful segments to come. All you need to do is to hit that like button. Also, you need to click on the subscribe button and always tap on bell notifications so you don't need to go scatter when we upload the next video segment just for you.